Hello, ladies and gentlemen, how you all doing? This is Con Ulrich.
I'm in rule, low, low, low.
And folks, we are giving you some more Redstorm 44. Today on Chadron, who do we have here, Rang?
On the left-hand side in the blue, we have ourselves a bird, an alpha bird, playing Air Force Panzer. And on the right-hand side in the red, we have a Sir Daniels playing Group Bezlugo.
No, I'm kind of fascinated. I guess the question today is, will bird be the word? Or will so Daniels be clipping the wings of this particular avian? Like, how does the matchup look between 4th Panzer and Bazooka?
4th Panzer is definitely a very good Panzer division. It's for the most part very well rounded. You have the light armor support, you have Panzer IVs up the bum, you have Panthers for long range engagements, and a decent amount of infantry. It's a nice package. They're really just lacking a bit in air power and artillery, which isn't too bad. Group Bezlugo is, T-34 76 spam, decent amount of infantry, decent amount of sheep anti-tank. The main problem is they don't have any good anti-tank to really deal with Panthers, apart from those 2 Tigers, but even then it's a bit risky. But you have the air power, you have a decent amount of artillery, you just have to be a little bit more creative when the heavy armor comes onto the field, and especially in this mod you have a lot of room to be creative in blowing up big bloody catch.
Well, we are seeing the kind of standard, let's throw all our infantry in the southern town as much as humanly possible. And as you might expect, it's going to be the Soviets, I think, who are going to take the early advantage here. It's just, I think the Germans are putting just enough to maybe kind of keep things, relatively equal.
Yeah.
I think the mid-axis is of advance, no pun intended, be further north for the Axis and just be, a holding game in the south.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, as you really do have that long-range armor advantage with the Panzer IVs compared to the T-34s. Also down south, I feel like it's going to be a bit painful for Bird in the town, because there's a lot of anti-tank rifles in there, and using those 2.3-1s and 2.5-1/9s is going to be a bit dangerous.
It will be dangerous, but at the same time, so long as the AP... Oh, never mind.
You were saying, Khan?
I was actually clearing my throat. Now let me clear my throat. I hope you don't mind. But, as like you said, I mean, and that was one of those things that I always feel like the reserve PTRDs, those things are silent killers.
They are.
Silent killers.
They're such a good unit. Just because, I mean, you have the rifles, they're disheartened, whatever. Just one bloke with an anti-tank rifle can make a light tank blow up. Which is not bad at all. You can just slap them around in the town, they make good defensive units. Yeah, they're really good.
And there's not going to be anything as a surprise. I feel like, unless it was somehow something like one of the truly infantry divisions over here from the Axis powers, we're not going to see Shchetryn's southern town ever really go blue.
Yeah, it's going to be, I mean, to be fair, 4th Panzers does have a decent amount of infantry. Bird just hasn't really invested a whole lot, and he's in a pretty bad position here. I mean, Sir Daniels has managed to consolidate a pretty good source in the center of the town and using that Radevka M3A1 pretty effectively. I mean, Bird is really relying on his Panzer IV now, and as well as the Flak 38 to give some fire support, but yeah, it's going to be tough. And now the Su-76 is being brought in. Yeah, Sir Daniels is a very good grip in this town.
Absolutely. And now I imagine those PTRDs are going to that P4 as well, which is not going to be a particularly pleasant experience.
Not at all. Looking up north, I mean, Bird really needs to be a little bit more aggressive up north if he's not going to be playing too heavy. Well, yes, as he's playing pretty heavy in the town, he's getting 3 Panzer IVJs. I don't know how effective that's going to be.
No, that was the wrong choice there, unfortunately.
I understand getting the armor out, especially with more Soviet armor potentially being brought in. There's also some Soviet off-map as well, but once the infantry go down in the town, those Panzer IVs are going to have a nasty time. And these are the J models as well, so really slow turret speed, which is not going to be helpful in a town fight.
Trying to see if he's aiming at. Well, he does pick off at least the M3A1, so it gets rid of a little bit of recon. But I think he's got to be more concerned. Maybe. Maybe he has to be a little more concerned with T-34 76s, but these are the undergunned versions. This is the low velocity 76 too, I think.
Yeah, but at close range it's enough to kill a Panzer IV still. So
yeah.
it's the danger of using Panzer IVs in a town. much prefer to fight Panzer or T-34s at a 1.6 kilometer distance.
And you know what? I think this is going to be one of those replays where, I have Castor's Curse constantly. Whatever I say will be the absolute opposite. Like, everyone who watches this video will press subscribe and give me $1 million. Like, that's not going to happen. And I know that. And I know that. But at the same time, like, I don't want to tempt fate by going the opposite direction with it either. So, it's a weird balance. The J is going to start to engage T-34-76 down south, and transmission destroyed. But crew killed.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, the veterancy, I mean, the 3-star veterancy bonus is really making that T-34 pretty deadly, of course.
Checking back into the top, where things are only moderately less depressing with the blood everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, yep, we're going to see a bit of a resurgent push as it's been hit critical massive infantry on that hill. They're going to get shoved back. At least it's not going to go very far. The second that they get off of that crest... Oh no, he's not going to go off the crest, though. Never mind. I take everything back.
Yeah. And with all the T-34-76s and Su-76s, yes, they're not great long-range tanks, but Sir Daniels is managing to force these engagements at closer distance, and those tanks and tank destroyers are really bloody good, especially for leaders nearby, giving them extra veterancy.
One thing that's interesting is that we are seeing a Maverick income from Bird, which I know it doesn't sound like it should be particularly bizarre at all. I mean, since Sir Daniels is extremely regular the entire way through at the flatline, but he's trying to hit above his weight right now, and obviously that leads its own challenges. I wonder how that middle phase is going to go.
Yeah, I mean, once we get into B phase, of course, is when the Panthers start being brought in, and they can definitely be a rather big force multiplier up north if he uses them effectively, just as long as they don't get bombed by aircraft or artillery, which of course is a pretty big weakness for the Panther here. But I feel like Bird just needs to consolidate the southern side, just make sure he doesn't completely lose the town, and push either over for the lungs or try to get this northern hill. This northern hill is pretty nasty. I feel like you'd want to just bomb it to hell and back, or call in some off-map, or mortar half-tracks, or anything really.
That was a really nifty line of sight there.
Oh, from the T-34, yeah.
Yeah.
That's like tight as a tiger, but yeah, there's decent amount of Soviet light/medium armor. They're going to be able to knock out all the German stuff, yeah. Just very good maneuvering. Very good picking out engagements.
Absolutely. I was kind of a little confused. Okay, so the first material that went down the hill just got wrecked. Gotcha. Now the Su-76s are just going to start to bedevil that incoming arterial. There's not a whole lot that you can do to engage them.
Yeah. It's in a pretty good position. He is bringing in some Armada 3 to try and counter, and as well as a Pack 40, which will definitely do pretty good in defensive position, but I find Su-76s to be very good in this mod. They usually have decent veterancy. Yes, they have terrible armor, but for 38 points, to bring in a decent anti-tank weapon, as well as a pretty good high explosive weapon, you can't really complain too much.
I want to give you a quick heads up. There was an attempted bushwhacking by an IL-2 down south with carpet bombs. BF-109 might go and give his life. He's going the wrong direction. My friend, you go to the west, not the east.
Yeah. He's just flying in circles. I feel like he has some sort of critical hit. Another critical, which is forcing him to fly in circles, but there we go. He's finally fallen back to an appropriate section of his lines.
Well, I know when we have pilot panicked, and I think it's pilot unconscious, they tend to...
Yes.
Have their daily dose of stupid pills.
Bird has definitely been able, I think, to stabilize the south a little bit. Of course, he doesn't have any of the flags there, which is a sad detriment, but at least Sir Daniels is making crazy headway into the town, which is good enough. I mean, where that Panzer IV is in a very good position to just deny anything from moving forward, and he's very close to actually flipping over a flag. If he was maybe to get a commander down here and an infantry leader a bit closer, he might be able to tip one of these flags into his favor.
I'm sorry, I was watching as the Martyr 3 picked off its first target. I mean, very rare the fact that the Mortar 3 has to get a little bit closer and you can see what happens when, he's forced to do so. But he's fired 2 shots and picked up 2 kills, so it's
Yeah.
really, really hard to hate that too much.
Yeah, those Marder 3s are essentially the 4th Panzer equivalent of Su-76s. I mean, they have the exact same gun, it's just in a little Czech tank chassis instead of a Soviet one. Also has APC, well, I believe that Su-76 also has APCR, yeah. But it also has a machine gun, which is a nice little bonus.
That's true. That is certainly true. I mean, looking down south, I had to laugh a little bit as we had the P4J that has not just damaged optics, but badly damaged optics.
Oof.
Which means he needs glasses with bifocals. Otherwise, the Strokey in that church apparently is not holy ground, at least not as we expected it to be.
Oh. Yeah, Panzer 4, I really like how badly damaged optics one is. Of course, he can't spot for himself anymore, but that's a sneaky spot in that little light, forest area, yeah. I didn't even really know you could, maneuver through this from. But from here, he can give pretty decent fire support and still be in cover. So this is actually going pretty well for Bird down south. He might be able to push the infantry out of the town. I feel like he needs a bit of artillery, like a mortar half-track, to rout out some of the Russians. But in terms of armor engagements, he's not doing too bad.
I agree on that one. I mean, and it only continues to get better for him, which is really, really weird. Shooter knocked out. Okay, so probably the payload is going to go down here, I think. Would not be surprised if he did. Turret stuck. Okay, well, that was much better than I thought it was going to go.
Yeah, that's not too bad.
I am a little curious why the BF-109 just allows itself to continue to get shot at by the pom-pom. But Tchaikovsky is doing his thing. The failure goes down to T-34-76, and the other P-4 gets revenge by jamming that guy's gun up quite nicely. I never really kind of appreciate how tight some of these flag lines are over here in the southern town.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's going to be 13-11 over here just in a moment.
Yeah, he's pretty close. Reserve infantry are being forced back. I mean, Sir Daniels is ripping up some superiors to try and hold this point, but the Panzer Grenadiers are engaged in long range, and that's where Panzer Grenadiers really shine. We do have a 45mm down south, giving some good fire support.
Do you think he's just putting that BF-109 just in circles just to waste the ammunition on the aircraft? Anti-aircraft gun?
No idea what he's doing with it. Oh, I think he's trying to intercept the IL-2.
Well, now he is, yeah. Spark! Okay. With the Flak 38, there really should be no way the IL-2 gets its bombs off.
There we go. Good 1-2 punch here. Definitely saving his Panzer IV's life, and yeah, Bird now on the 13-11. He could get a 14-10 if he just gets your other flag, but the Russian combat unit is definitely helping out quite a bit in terms of just a frontline bonus.
Oh, absolutely. And unfortunately now for that Flak 38, he's revealed his position, so he's being engaged by the 45 mils, which, while they're not the best anti-tank gun, they're still good enough to engage infantry targets.
Oh yeah, they're very fast rate of fire on the 45 mils makes them pretty deadly against infantry. And also I believe the Panzer IV for a brief second was shooting the Russian 37mm anti-aircraft gun. Almost killed it, but he did move out of the way just in the nick of time.
Now I'm a little bit more amused. Taking a look at the top here as P4 engaging some anti-tank positions. No, he's engaging superiors. There was a half-hearted attempt to maybe move some Russian troops onto the left lung, but it looks like, that entire thing kind of ran out of breath.
Yeah, and he's got a whole heap of infantry reinforcements being brought in, so it might be enough to take out Northern Forest. There's not a whole lot of good long-range Russian infantry here, so I think there's a decent amount of Panzer Grenadier machine gun support. Will be a deadly push for him. Should be enough to clear out that forest at least. Would like to see some artillery on there, but shouldn't be too bad.
It shouldn't be too bad, no, but I do think that these veteran PTRS squads are going to be absolutely brutal.
Yeah, he's in a nice sneaky position here.
I'll watch this first Marta go down. There we go.
And the Panzer
IVs keep charging. Good idea, boys.
Yeah, infantry inside a buildings yard is extremely hard to spot. There we go, holding fire to try and not be shot at here. Reopening and the Panzer IV getting sniped by the Su-57.
Mm-hmm. I was watching to see if this infantry assault's going to happen pretty quickly. It's going to happen in kind of slow motion. Looking back down to the south, 45 mils are engaged in the P4J, who's not to be outdone. Oh, he's being engaged by HE. Okay, yeah, that's a one-sided engagement.
Yeah.
But a resurgent infantry push, we might see maybe the Soviets going east to west here. This is certainly the attempt.
There we go, a whole heap of Soviet infantry being brought in, and just decent amount of fire support from the 45s. We also have some 76mm support guns and T-34 reinforcements. I think it's be enough here for Sir Daniels to flip it back into his favour.
Well, he is already. It's 14-10.
Yep.
A big piece that's the fact that there's no leadership on the front lines over here for the Germans.
Oh, he really needs just a leader unit, and probably, well, he's bringing the Panzergrenadier here actually to do that, as well as off-map artillery, which should help out quite a bit, because Sir Daniel's forces are definitely very bunched up.
Yeah, if we have a 105, that's going to cause more than a little bit of hassles.
Yep, and you also have a mortar half-track being brought in up north finally, which should definitely be able to clear up the PTRS squads in the buildings, as well as whatever the hell is in that forest, because this northern push here from the Panzergrenadiers, even though Panzergrenadiers have a whole heap of machine gun firepower, Sir Daniel's infantry is just dug in really well.
Yeah, it doesn't help that the Strokey squads over here. Actually, no, they. What the heck was I looking at? There was a group that looked like they were very, very low on machine gun ammo, but I guess that's not the case any longer.
It's been pretty back and forth. I mean, we're back to a 12-12, and 17 minutes into this match, it's pretty even in terms of points. Like, it still really feels like it could be anyone's game, Khan.
And you know, I think that's going to be the case until we probably get into C phase. But now that's even as I say that, I realize that C phase, very, very similar income curves.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to see potential Tigers and Panthers being brought out, because I think it'll be pretty big.
The IL-2, I'm sorry, an IL-2 just went down and almost killed the veteran PTRS squad. It literally took out the building.
So close, so close.
I'm sorry, but you were saying.
No, but yeah, just seeing some heavy armor out, I think would be a pretty big force multiplier up north.
The major issue, though, is that cost.
It's pretty expensive, and you know, even though heavy armor is pretty heavy, it's pretty easy to kill with bombers, or if you get like a good critical hit from, you know, a sneaky anti-tank gun. You have to be smart.
It certainly is dummy thick. Down south, we do have a 105 barrage to be called on, a bit of concentration, but it takes forever for it to happen.
Yeah.
And I'm always afraid about this. Like the Redstorm part, like, I love the change about moving them off map. It makes sense. Cool. I'm worried that the artillery barrages are used very liberally. And okay, well, I gotta back up again. The call-in timers, I feel like sometimes it's like, okay, we gotta throw down here. And while I love the fact that it's basically going to replicate the fact that a lot of artillery barrages couldn't change in time to stuff that was on the ground. Not happening in this case, but I've seen it where players will drop it, not really realizing that the actual, kill zone isn't going to be viable pretty quickly.
Yeah, you have to be smart.
It's going to go down here. Storm Pioneer will go down here, no doubt. At least we just saw it.
Yeah. I received use that off-map artillery just down south in the infantry blob. That's where he originally put it. I mean, you might be able to blow up a T-34 or two, but I think it would have been much more effective if he killed this massive blob of infantry here.
Well, and that was the follow-up I think I was trying to do after I stumbled through that my first point.
But no, I understand your point now.
Yeah. Yeah.
I do like how Bird has like 2 leaders here now. It's definitely helping out quite a bit in terms of veterancy, but now he needs a little bit more frontline infantry. Because his infantry, I mean the Panzergrenadiers charging is very risque. Gonna take some heavy casualties.
Yep, I wouldn't be surprised if they go down here in a second.
Yeah.
Checking up to the north. fresh Soviet reinforcements means it's going to be nearly impossible for the Germans to perfectly aggress onto this hilltop. But it's not going to stop them from trying.
I mean, he's using some smoke here, which is quite nice, but I mean, it's just trying to deal with all the Soviet infantry, and it's a lot in that forest. I mean, they have green cover on top of a hill, high ground, all of that, while the Germans are being forced to come in with infantry and open ground. I mean, he does need some armor here to help him out. Well, of course, that's dangerous too, because there's like Russian Panzerschrecks, the T-34, and all that, and anti-tank rifles as well, which does make it deadly to bring stuff onto a hill. Oh, hey, it's the Panther.
Is there finally a Panther? Oh,
No.
No.
North.
Where's the big kitty? Oh, there he is. I was looking too far back, and I was like, okay, that's a P4H, my friend. But you're right. Big kitty is here, and... Yowza. 85 mils engaging something. Oh. The airplane on the other side of the world.
Oh, we're getting a push in the lungs.
Yes, we are seeing a bit of some infection going from east to west here. You're absolutely right. And it's Sturmoviki Superior, so that's not going to go well. For the defenders, I mean.
Oh. Yeah, I know Sturmovikis are really good in forest fights because they do have the ambush specialist trait, which means they're much harder to hit and they're more sneaky.
You know, I feel like this sticker should be like a tree or a branch. It shouldn't be a death's head. But
yeah, I think it's just like one of the default ones because I believe that's the fanatical trait in vanilla.
It is.
Yeah.
It absolutely is.
And like the veteran icon is the raider trait from vanilla.
Yes.
Yeah.
Looking down to the south, and yes, we are seeing more and more aggression as the Strelkies kind of move in from east to west as well. Your leader units, as you might suspect, high on motivation, low on fighting skills.
Yeah.
And geez, even the veteran P-Guns are getting absolutely slaughtered. Is there that much of a disparity between the Soviet infantry and the Germans, or is it more of just the numbers game that's been happening?
It's the tanks. The T-34s give them fire support. Like, completely devastating the German infantry here.
And you know, I'd say it's not fair, but all's fair in love and war, so I've heard.
And the T-34s just perform better in towns compared to Panzer IVs. I mean, Bud has a very good defense outside the town of not one, not two, but 3 Pak-40s, which is definitely probably a little bit overkill here. I mean, he shouldn't lose the town entirely just due to the amount of tank support he has outside it, but it's pretty costly just trying to secure his 2 central flags.
Oh, without a doubt. Though I confess, I'm watching the IL-2 coming into the north, take out the mortar track, and now just kind of blithely flying away, as is his wont.
Did the Panther get... I think the first Panther got killed somewhere.
The first one to the north? No, he's still there.
Is he still there?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. However, we are definitely crying havoc and letting slip the Douglases of war. Bombs are out. He's definitely going to die, though, between ground fire and the Messerschmitt. No way.
The Messerschmitt turning stupid.
You know, I think I've seen this before. You know, in Germany, they didn't have a lot of resources during the war. That's how we have things like Fanta, for example.
Yes.
I think Messerschmitt has his whole... He just had his daily dose of dummies, not Smarties. I mean, that was the discount version.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of a shame I didn't get the kill, but yeah, so Daniel's in a very good position of 15-9, getting that +2 bleed on Bird. Just that southern push is really going quite well for him. I don't know how much he's going to be able to really move up anymore down south, as Bird does have a lot of armor on the outskirts of the town.
Well, he's not worried about that now. We're seeing a 2-pronged attack over here on the lungs. So the northern... Yeah, now the Panther G went down.
Oh, damn. What was that? A side shot from the Su-76? I believe it was.
I actually don't know.
It was. Damn. You gotta be really careful where you position those tanks, as you can see. Like, he's a little bit too aggressive with that Panther, and he paid the price. And now I got a Tiger, but of Russian variety.
Well, another attempted push, and I imagine this is going to be sent back down almost exactly the same fashion. The only difference here is a teensy bit more combined arms, but I think the Russians are showing us much better on how to do it.
Yeah.
I mean, they are assisted by the fact that these Flamme Pioneers are close-range troops and really are rather lightly armored for
Yeah.
their role right now, but nonetheless.
It's just like T-34-76s and Su-76s are very good in these close quarters engagements. And the Panzer IVs and the Marder 3s are just not as good. I mean, you do have the half-tracks to be fair, which is quite nice. But with all the anti-tank cores, it does negate their use a bit.
Yep. And as that P4 goes down, I mean, the entire push falls back.
Yeah. And Northern, like, Forest is... Unless he gets, like, a big off-map artillery strike, even just one mortar half-track, it's way too much to just try and route out. Like, Sir Daniels just has a lovely position in that forest.
But the weird thing, he got a 150. Well, I have it open over here right now. That shows that infantry shoots, so basically an infantry support gun, but he's not using it at all, which is kind of weird. I feel like I'd be trying to pound that hilltop as much as I possibly, and then I send in all the troops, not do this kind of piecemeal, kind of knee-jerk kind of idea.
Yeah, like, he's taking, like, these pretty heavy casualties during these small, aggressive pushes. Like, he just needs to drop a lot of high explosives on that hill, of course, but I understand why people don't get artillery, because even in Redstorm, it is more lucrative to get frontline units, because you want to have units on the front, making sure your backline units don't eventually get capitulated, but...
No, but I mean, like, he's got it on the field, so use the stupid thing.
Oh, he does he?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I see.
It's been on there for a good, probably 90 seconds.
Yeah, that definitely needs to be firing on that hill and just blowing it to smooth range. I've seen another Panther as well, but I think the main thing is Sir Daniels is making a lovely push in the lungs with just, you know, some light armor and some infantry, and he's securing that easy peasy, like.
Well, there is more fighting in the town, and we are going to see some... Is that a... Yep, Stuka's coming in at looking to try to pick off at least one of those tanks. I don't think that's going to happen. I feel like that stress is going to be too much for him.
Oh. Going for the loop-de-loop. Love that little maneuver.
What? He picked off 2?
It does have a heavy bomb load, to be fair. Like, 1 500-kilogram bomb and then 4 50. So, it's pretty deadly.
Oh, absolutely. But still, it's one of those things that's kind of like, really? Looking otherwise, down south, there was some resurgent fighting. It looks like the Soviets have had the worst of it, though, as more and more Axis infantry gets shoved into that town.
Yeah, the veteran Panzergrenadier is holding pretty well. There's only 1 T-34 left here, so if he can knock it out, I believe Bird could actually capitulate his town. Like, there's not a whole lot of Soviet stuff here. There's definitely been more focus up in the center and the north. So, there is the possibility.
It's true, but whenever someone says the possibility, it's kind of like, yes, technically, Bird could wait until Sir Daniels has a heart attack, but I don't know that that's going to happen here. We definitely see Sir Daniels has been definitely using his air power sufficiently. Perfectly, but sufficiently.
Not doing anything too crazy on the Panzer IV, which is pretty good, yeah, for Bird. But yeah, so Daniels with just, you know, a few defensive units down south is just enough to hold on to these 2 flags.
Panther tries to get frisky as well. 85 mils is starting to go and put fire into that Panther, and the T6 Tiger is still here too. So it's Big Kitty v Big Kitty, and with damaged optics now on that Panther, I don't see him being long for this world.
Yeah, there's definitely much more Russian guns shooting at Panther, so I don't feel like he's gonna have very good odds. Yeah.
It turns out we were right.
The Tiger is a pretty nasty tank, even ring crewed by Soviets.
Well, it's mildly amusing. Now we have this IL-2 coming on in with a cluster load, and who really cares? I mean, like, you could drop it in infantry, but why would you want to?
Yeah. That was just like the backup.
But the Germans have taken the southern town. T-34-76 went down here, and I'm looking, and I'm thinking, Will it be maybe another short kind of armor column to the south, or is it just let's just toss infantry in it as much as possible?
I feel like Bird really needs to make an aggressive push into this town and try to, like, really secure the entirety of it. Try to get that flag near the bridge at least. Because he needs to really, like, pull some pressure from that northern and central area. Because he's losing pretty badly there now. Like, he's been fighting very piecemeal on that hill. While Sir Daniels has managed to build up a pretty nasty force of 85s, SU-76s, the Tiger now. I don't feel like Bird really has any chance of really getting any good territory up north anymore.
No, it's very much to Bird's kind of benefit. These motorized pioneers and these Alpha Flam pioneers that haven't really been seen just yet.
Yeah.
Though more and more units continue to be donated down to the south.
Yeah, but Bird is making progress, so he's got the Panzer IV and half-track up. There's not a whole lot here from Sir Daniels. There's some Reek infantry units left. Maybe he can get a Panzerschreck kill, which would be great fun, especially considering we're blowing up a German tank. But the Panzer IV, so going pretty well. But yeah, it's a Tiger now, and there's an Su-57, and they have the high ground gone.
Well, I hadn't even really watched the Tiger firing too much, but yeah, you're absolutely right on that. And veteran guard squad's being brought on in as well, so he's just playing. He's playing to run out the clock.
Yeah, and a BA-10, which would be pretty damn good in CQC.
Apparently, I've lost the BA-10.
Oh, it's a spawn. Coming out of Southern Spawn.
Ah, thank you. I was looking at that. Oh, wow, there's an entire column. We got ourselves yeah, we got some Italian tanks coming to the front here.
Yeah.
Or wannabes, the L6s. But, yes, indeed. The map's starting to look more and more like maybe a Doberman kind of head. If you look at it from the red side, the blue little dots, the eyes up there.
Oh, yeah. It does kind of look like a dog.
It's good. It's one of those things. Even when there's massive amounts of death, we want to keep it light here. That's how we work.
Yeah. I mean, in Redstorm, you definitely have much more opportunity to see Picasso map art compared to vanilla, because it just goes all over a bloody place.
Absolutely true. And there's a piece of me that really wishes that people would be more, that there'd be an entire subreddit inside the subreddit about just interesting maps, but you know how it goes.
Yeah.
Tiger asserts itself, takes on the P4, and that might be the death of the push here.
Yeah, we have a lot of P4s being brought in down south, yo. And a Wirbelwind! I forgot they get the Wirbelwind, which is a little anti-aircraft unit, of course.
I believe you mean anti-infantry unit.
And, yeah, good point. An anti-tank, I mean, it's just an anti-everything, really.
I will say in this, it's a far better anti-tank role than it is in other pieces of media, that's for darn sure.
Yeah, like, even in just vanilla, I've seen Wirbelwinds just go close range against a T-34 and put enough holes into the T-34 to make it Swiss cheese.
Which is pretty impressive. That means you changed the guy's passport as well as his living status. But the BA-10s in the meantime moving up to the front. And that's the one thing about the Wirbelwind, is that it can only engage one target at a time. Which, when you're going to get overrun by a lot of your rinky-dink scout cars, which are still nothing to sneeze at, ain't going to be... Oh my gosh, there's two Tigers down south. I didn't even see that.
Oh, I think he repositioned to run up north down south, which is always weird to see when people completely reposition units from one flank to another.
Because the gut reaction is, can you do that?
Yeah.
You can do that.
You're only meant to push one lane of your units. You're not meant to, like, reposition to deal with emergent threats. That's ridiculous.
Exactly. You're a jungler. Stay in the jungle.
Exactly, Khan. I treat my Steel Division 2 matches like I'm playing Dota. I yell at my team all the time, and it's never my fault.
And then you scream about how someone's been nerfed, and you go from there. Like that, exactly. That's how I started playing SD too.
Yes. Oh, Messerschmitt coming in, sniping the IL-2, but it did get the rocket load off at least. But yeah, Bird, even though he's been pretty much losing from like the 20-minute point on, he has been able to like slap back a bit. Like it's only a 13-11, and he is making decent progress down south, bringing it back to a 12-12. He isn't going quietly into the night, but Sir Daniels just has such a good position in the central area, and just having, he just has like a better concentration of force.
Well, and I think that's the major issue, isn't it? Is that that southern town requires such a huge investment early on, and instead of putting up just like a mild resistance, just to hold the one flag on his side, I think Burr just fixated and he got himself trapped in a cage.
Yeah, and also it can be pretty hard as 4th Pounder to take that town because anti-tank rifles really screw with your half-tracks and your lightly armoured vehicles, which are very vital when trying to deal with, trying to clear out enemy towns. Because those 2-3 runs can be so good in clearing out infantry, but, when as an angry Russian with an anti-tank rifle, they just kind of get popped open immediately.
True. True. And looks like it's going to go ticking in towards those last 60 seconds or so. Verbelfind, I'd be interested to see. He was in the match for like, 2-3 minutes, but I feel like he's picked up a fair chunk of kills, unless he got, lost the last couple ones here every now and again.
Yeah. If he spots an infantry unit, he just makes the infantry unit disappear.
Exactly. Exactly. And I don't think we're going to see that last artillery barrage, which is such a shame, because I feel like, the 152s, the 122s, either or, really, has a very, very good likelihood of picking vehicles.
Yeah. It is pretty big caliber.
It's hard to find men of that caliber anymore.
It is. It really is. Oh no, he's gonna move out of the circle if this hypothetical artillery barrage hypothetically gets off, which it theoretically won't.
Well, I think the Verbelfind is kind of going in there to play an R2-D2 role, so it's like as the artillery shells will come in, he's gonna just snipe them out of the air. So
it's like playing Missile Command.
Exactly, which in my headcanon, now that this match is over, is exactly what happened. And the Verbelfind saved the lives of, all 3 Germans.
Yeah.
KD, a little bit more obscene than I expected. I expected about 1,000, but 1,700, not too shabby.
Yeah, Bird lost a lot of heavy tanks. His Panthers went down without really doing too much. His Panzer IVs were going down like flies. He was taking heavy casualties up north. But I mean, even though he lost that match by quite a bit, once again, he kept managing to push back. But Sir Daniels just by the 20-25 minute point of that match, he just managed to trade much more efficiently and have that, bigger blob of forces, keeping those Tigers alive, where he can just shut down Bird's, major advances before they can really consolidate into something more permanent.
That certainly seems to be that way, and shockingly enough, the Verbelfind only picked up 1 kill. Honestly,
Shame.
outside it, there is 4 kills for 1, there's 5 kills for another P4, and there's one, I think it was a T-3476 Trolga, who paid for himself and most of his comrades.
Oh yeah, it was the one Comrati in the town, in the middle point of the match.
Yep. I was gonna say, unfortunately he still only gets 1 potato for his weekly, his weekly kind of ration of freedom.
I just a little bit of a tangent here, but I find it it really probably sucked for a lot of Soviet soldiers because after the war, because for American or British soldiers, you after participating in the war, you went home and you got to live in the 40s and 50s, which were a big economic boon. But you're a Soviet guy, and you've after finished this terrible, horrific war against the Germans, which almost killed your country and caused millions of dead. You're still living in the Soviet Union in the 40s and 50s, which was a sucky place to live.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's absolutely true, and it's one of those things that I think we joke about, but yeah, it kind of stinks there.
Yeah, or if you're an anti-political, you could get thrown in a gulag or killed by NKVD. That's really sucks if you spent your blood and your young adulthood fighting for your country.
But I think it's enough without such optimistic talk.
yeah, a real way to bring a downer on what was a very lovely replay.
It really truly was. An appreciation to both these guys for bringing that to our attention here.
Yeah.
4th Panzer, not a terrible division, just got outmatched over here in terms of the play that kind of happens.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, Sir Daniels has played really well in forcing all those important engagements to be close quarters, and T-34s and Su-76s are perfect in those fights, as we clearly saw in that match.
Absolutely. But folks, that's gonna do it for us for this particular replay. As always, Rang actually has been having some really, really interesting matches as well. So you want to check those out over on his channel. But I think until next time, I'm Con Ulrich.
I'm Rangru, take it easy.